So I have in mind this arrow icon, this round arrow icon. I could do that from scratch. But an easier way in this case might be to create a text box and take a glyph from a Wingdings font, a character, that looks pretty much the way that I want it to, and then modify that. So I'm going to open up my glyph palette where I already have the character put in there. Put it in the box, use my keyboard shortcuts to make it bigger. Now let's change the way it looks. I'm going to apply a color. I'll make it orange. And then I'm also going to put in transparency. I'll put in 50% to see how that looks. You'll notice the QuarkXPress can have the ability to actually change the transparency of a single character. That's unique to QuarkXPress, so you can do that. Now I'm going to zoom in and get to work. So this is my starting point, but I want it to look different. I'm going to convert it to a Bezier path so I can edit it. That's easy enough to do. I'll go up to the item menu where you'll see the option, the familiar option if you're an existing user of convert to boxes. But what's new here is that you can not only convert this single character to an unanchored or anchored box, you can also convert an entire box to a path, even if you have dozens of lines of text, and you can do that even with linked text boxes. Now I'm going to select that option and take a look at what happens with the box. What you'll notice is when I make the conversion, it doesn't jump, it doesn't change its appearance, it's in exactly the same spot that it used to be. Now, let me get rid of that text box in the background. It's a Bezier box now, but it doesn't look like a Bezier box because you'll see that there are no handles and what have you on it. What we do is that when you are in your layout mode, your standard tools are activated, you can move your items around, scale them, and do all of the regular layout operations quite easily. And when it's time to get in and actually do some illustration work, all you need to do is to switch over to the Bezier pen tool, either by clicking on it or by hitting the P key. And take a look at what happens. You'll see when I do that, all of the Bezier points become activated, and I can work with them. For example, by clicking in the middle of that segment, I can add a point. I can switch tools to move that point, or I can use the standard shortcut key from Illustrator and Freehand, etc. If I hold down the Command key, I can move the point out a little bit without having to actually switch my tools. And again, I can do a keyboard modifier to convert the point, or I can switch tools. In this case, I'll use the Option key to convert the corner point to a round point. Now, when I'm ready to actually move back to kind of laying out the page, I just hit the V key again, and I'm back in my regular item tool for doing those kind of manipulations. I'm not going to accidentally stretch any of those Bezier points around. Now, this is for my round trip, so I need a second arrow. I could duplicate it with my Command D, but then it will jump who knows where. What I can also do is, there's another way which is a bit more visual and intuitive. I move the object and then hold down my Option key while I'm moving, which is going to tell it to duplicate the box. So now I have a second Bezier box, and I want to rotate that. I'll hold down the Shift key to restrain that, but basically I didn't have to do any tool switching again. I just rotated that thing, position it where I want, and I'm done. There's that new icon. I might have to resize that and do some other manipulations, and it would be very easy to do that. Just get hands on and grab it. But what I've noticed while I'm working on this is down here in the text it says 55.5 for the length of the yacht, but we usually say half in this magazine rather than 0.5 in this kind of text article. So I'll put in 1/2, a fake fraction, switch to my text tool, type in 1/2, but I'd like to actually use a real nice looking fraction. But I'm lucky in this case because I'm using an OpenType font, and many of them have fractions built in. So let's see what kind of font we have by clicking on the font menu, and you'll see that yes, indeed, in this case we are using an OpenType font. I'll do that by going down to my font menu and I'll select it, and you'll see icons there showing me what kind of font I'm dealing with, and also the fonts appear with a preview of what the typeface is going to look at. So I'm using Myriad Pro, and I'll go down to the OpenType options in the measurement palette to see if fractions are available, and yes, it has. So I'll just click on fractions and apply them automatically to my text that's selected. It would be even easier if I built that into a style sheet, because I wouldn't have to do that manually at all. So I'm done with my page, let's move on. But before I move on, I see a really bad typo. This magazine is not called Bloat International, it's Boat International. Where's that text box come from? It's actually from, because it's got the page number, I remember this is from the master page. But I actually have 6 master pages in this document, looking up at the page layout palette. 6 pages with 4 master pages, in fact. So I have no idea where exactly this comes from. It's quite easy in QuarkXPress 8, though, to get to the root of this. All I need to do is click on the new button that you'll find down at the bottom of the window, which jumps to the master page exactly to the right spot, at the right magnification. So it's easy for me to make my correction. Now I click the same little button down there again. Watch this. Click it again. It takes me back to the page. And that's being corrected, of course, everywhere else where it was used.